Welcome on in, golf fans. It's your boy Gsluke here with our round one prop preview for this week's RBC Canadian Open. Gonna go through what to expect from Oakdale Golf and Country Club. That's the home for this week's tour stop. And then at the end, gonna go through the underdog and the prize picks boards and bring you some of the props that I have my eye on here for the first round of action. You guys know I'm constantly doing my prop analysis, right? Rounds 2 through 4. Those are posted on my Patreon page, but every single week I try to bring you this prop preview to give you guys some of the research and some of the strategies to try and take on this board. Last week it was a course with wide fairways, really small greens, so if you went after, attacked some of the green regulation unders, some of the overs for fairways, you probably had a good week last week. And then of course you had the carnage from the score aspect, a scoring average of worse than 75 there on Sunday at the Memorial, which had us in the prize picks and over there on the underdog side on Sunday, absolutely cashing out. So it was a good weekend last week. Let's carry that momentum here for the RBC Canadian Open and cash out ourselves. So starting with the golf course, it's Oakdale Golf and Country Club. And the reason why we're over here on this sheet as opposed to Data Golf is it's a completely new golf course. We've never seen it for professional play before. It hasn't even been played for like a major in the past. It hasn't been, an old tour stop like 20, 30 years ago, that sort of thing. Truly a brand new test. And it's a different combination of holes from the 3 different 9-hole courses at Oakdale. So it's not even really a course itself. Like if you went to Oakdale, played 9 holes, you wouldn't play this set of 18. It's a par 72. It measures just over 7,200 yards at about 7,264 yards with bent/POA greens in really long rough. You can see they have it listed at just 4 inches right here, but as the week has gone on and we've gotten footage from the site, from the venue, we've seen it in the 4 to 6 inch range. So you've got really long rough, par 72, and if we go over here to Pro Visualizer, we can get a look at it hole by hole here. There's a good mix of long holes and then really scoreable holes. So just to set the stage, holes 1 and 2 are sub 400 yard par 4s. Holes 3 through 6 are all extremely long, right? All over 464 yards in par 4s. You have 3 par 5s and 3 par 3s. So very different to most of these tour stops. Hole number 18 here, it's listed as a par 4. These tour pros will be playing it as a par 5 this week. It's an atypical setup, right? So for a par 72, we normally have 4 par 5s and 4 par 4s. That's going to have a huge impact on our birdie production, right? When there's only 3 par 5s to take down, it's only 3 chances at an easy birdie. You do have some of these shorter par 4s, but we'd much rather have the regular 4, right? Especially for a par 72 setup. It's real easy to look at a par 72, just assume that there's going to be those 4 par 5s, but that is not the case this week. The par 3s are manageable. They're all between 194 yards and 207 yards. So none of them are extremely long, but also, none of the 3 are also extremely short. And in general, if I was going to give you a strategy, I did a whole video for a course breakdown on Oakdale. It's a layup course. It's got that really thick rough. It's a relatively short course to begin with. So you're going to see a lot of players hitting irons or 3-woods off the tee. It's going to be all about putting yourself in position to go out there and attack with a wedge. So if you're looking for a type of player this week to succeed, it's players that are maybe a little bit shorter off the tee and really good with the wedges and exceptional putters. I do think you're going to see a huge advantage to some of the better putters this week, especially when it comes to making those 15 to 20 footers, which we'll need for the birdie production, which we get to later on. But before we get into the prop boards, let's take a look at the weather, right? So we've got ourselves a short course. I have to say though, right, because you have that many wedges, like these guys are going to make birdies. I know they only have the 3 par 5s to choose from. There's going to be a few shots from 50 yards and in on the par 4s that you're expecting these guys to hit it to 5 to 10 feet. So just because of the lack of par 5s, right, doesn't mean there's going to be a lack of birdie production, but just maybe trying to cap your expectations there a little bit. When we look at the weather for Thursday, you can see there is going to be a little bit of blustery conditions. Wind gusts in the 7 to 8 mile an hour range. Towards the afternoon, it actually calms down a little bit before a little rain shower comes through. But in the morning, you've got wind gusts in 12 to 13 mile an hour ranges. So it's going to be nasty out there pretty much whenever you're out there. I mean, normally 13, 14 miles an hour doesn't seem all that bad. But when you're at a course that is requiring that you be as precise as you are around an Oakdale Country Club, I think that's going to make all the difference. We go over here to Friday, right? We're not talking about Friday props here, but it looks a little bit calmer in the afternoon. So if we're trying to, handicap this golf course, I think it's going to play medium to easy tomorrow, right? I don't think it's going to play like a super easy course like a Kapalua that's playing like 2-3 shots under par. You're probably looking at something close to a 1 under par scoring average, I'd imagine. If I had to choose players in the morning or the afternoon, I don't know if I'd have a huge preference here for Thursday. I mean, even looking at this NAM model, right, they have slightly higher wins in the afternoon than what you see in the morning. It just, especially because this HRRR model, right, is calling for the opposite. I don't think you have to play one wave over the other, right? If anything, the morning wave is usually the wave that gets the advantage because they have the slightly more receptive greens in the morning. But with some of the unknowns with the wind, it's hard to make that assertion and feel super confident about it. So I'm not playing the weather all that much tomorrow, other than assuming that it's going to maybe make things a little bit more difficult than it would be on a calm day. When we look over here on prize picks, underdog, you're going to see I'm taking a lot of unders. And early in the week, the board was priced differently. There were overs on strokes I liked there on Monday morning. They ended up bumping those up. So now I think they're a little bit more fair on both sites. But the thing that's lagged behind are some of these birdie numbers where I did take overs when they first dropped over here in underdog. They had a lot of these sort of players at 4.5 birdies. I didn't know tee times then. That was before the tee times dropped on Tuesday. But at this stage of the week, they still haven't adjusted, especially for some of these PM guys. So I'm taking unders on Cam Young. We have Sam Burns on there, Akshay Bhatia. There were others I had that ended up getting bumped. There are a few others I still have on the board that haven't been bumped. Of course, I can only give you guys so many here on the videos, but it should give you an idea for my strategy here. Getting to 6 birdies is difficult regardless of the course that you're on, but especially when you're somebody that's playing in PM conditions, slightly firmer greens, and if you watch some of the course breakdowns this week, right, mine included, right, early in the week, a lot of people are talking about, 20, 25 under par winning this thing. I've heard as the week has gone on from caddies on site, from a few of the media members, right, that have been talking to caddies over there at Oakdale, that something like 13 to 16 under par is going to win. And in fact, Circa, right, casino out there in Las Vegas, has the line for winning score at 17.5 under par. So not that 20 to 25 under range. You're still having a lot of people, right, echo that sentiment, right, like myself on a Monday, but there's enough people talking about maybe the mid-teens taking this down that I've kind of capped my expectations here. I don't know if it's going to be nearly the birdie fest that I was calling for in my initial course breakdown. And more importantly, there was a video done by the superintendent of the course that came out 4 days ago. He shot it 2 weeks ago. And I'll throw a link in the description of this video to that if you want to check it out yourself. But he walks through the front 9. He actually plays the second 9 out there. And on the front 9, he talks about it maybe playing even par. There's really only one birdie hole. It's the par 5 on the front. It's still well over 570 yards. It also has a really difficult second shot. It's meant to be played as a par 5. Like it is out there, but it's got a tiny green. It's not meant to be a super easy birdie hole. So he was arguing that on the front, if you can make 1 to 2 birdies, he'd feel pretty happy about that. So when we're considering the back 9, which he did say was easy, he played the back 9, played pretty well in that video. If they're only going to get 1-2 birdies on the front, that means they're going to have to make 3 or 4 on the back, right, just to get to 5, right, let alone to go out there and cover. And you only have 2 par 5s on the back, and then sure, you have some short par 4s you can take on. You have a par 3 that's not all that hard, or actually 2 par 3s on the back that aren't all that difficult. It's not like you're being handed 6 birdies. So having these guys at 4.5, 5 birdies, like we're playing at a Kapalua, right, a course with like 5 par 5s on it, or another just similarly easy course like the Byron Nelson that has 4 par 5s, a bunch of short par 4s too. I don't think it's really the case here. We've got 4 to 6 inch rough, and I think a lot of unders on these sort of players make sense. So a Sam Burns, a Cam Young playing in the PM wave. Akshay Bhatia at 4.5 birdies. I have his under. I had Sam Bennett too at 4.5 birdies, but he's already been bumped down. So expect that one to move there soon too. These are the main props that I'm taking. So let's go over here to underdog. We'll talk through these two. Right, Rory's at 5.5 over here, so half a birdie higher. Taking his under. Adam Svensson, right, he's not on prize picks. I'd imagine he'd probably also be at like 4.5, maybe 4 birdies. I'm taking his under as a PM wave golfer. Sahith Theegala under 5 birdies. Kuchar under 5. Both of those are values compared to prize picks. And then the Adam Hadwin one too, just another player that's not an elite tier birdie maker that I think is going to project for closer to 4 birdies. So I'm trying to lock in this value. If I had to pick like a top 4, it would be these top 4. Hadwin would probably be the first prop out that I don't take there. But considering the unknowns, considering that the prize picks underdog just seems so sold, this is going to be an easy golf course, I think it's a spot to bet against that, right? There are times where our opinions of golf courses are completely wrong. And just to give you a great example of this, last year at this very event, it was a course that we had never seen before. People like myself thought it would play extremely difficult. In fact, because of the rough, thought maybe single digits under par was going to win, but Rory won at -19, right? So clearly things can go wrong when it comes to evaluating these golf courses. And unless it plays as easy as everyone expects, right? It plays as one of the easiest golf courses on all the PGA Tour. These guys aren't going to be going over 5 in bunches. Like maybe 1 or 2 are going to, right? You'll see a ceiling performance, but on average, a majority of these guys are going to go under, if not push their prop. So that's the idea here, right? You have to be spot on with your projection of the course for some of these overs to make sense. If it plays even remotely more difficult than what people are expecting, which I think is realistic, especially after watching that preview from the superintendent, that some of these unders make a lot of sense. So, I think the winning score at 17.5, I think that's pretty accurate there with Circa. I think some of the caddies that are maybe saying like 15, 16 under par is going to win, I think that they're probably spot on with that assumption. We're not talking about a difficult golf course, right? Don't hear me wrong here, but I'm talking about a course that's just not as easy as what people are expecting here. In terms of props I'm mixing in, I'm also looking at these birdie or better matchup props. So Sahith Theegala over Matt McNeely. A lot of this is about just how poor McNeely's been playing. He's been missing cuts or finishing nearly dead for last after making cuts. So it matched up against Sahith Theegala, right? Who's a near elite player. I think that one's pretty straightforward. And then down here, Brandt Snedeker, maybe a little bit more thought involved here. Snedeker had his first start back from injury last week. That was at the Memorial. Of course, that really doesn't fit his game, right? He's not that long off the tee. And he finished T41. He made the cut, made a bunch of birdies in pretty much every single round, and that was without having a putter. He loves the Ben Poa surface. That's the type of grass that we have this week that you can see on the GCSAA report over here, right? Ben/Poa Anua. He gains 0.6 strokes per round on that surface with the flat stick, which is one of the best metrics on tour for that. He's a good iron player. He gained nearly a stroke per round with the irons last week, and a perfect course fit for him, right? A short track where you can just hit those wedges, which for at his age, right? That's kind of his MO at this point. I like his chances against Richie Wierenski, who's just, a basement dweller on most of these leaderboards, right? He'll pop up from time to time, especially first round. So I think the one round we have to dodge him, right, is out here for the first round. But from a 50-50 perspective, Snedeker should be the huge favorite there. For us, that gets us a 13.5x payout. That's a huge boost, right? These overs, right, for birdie or better matchups are counting as a little bit of a correlation boost for us because we're mixing them in with a bunch of unders for birdies. So I like what we're doing there, right? Even with the over for Sahith, I'm still taking his under at 5 birdies because I think he could win against Maverick, right? Just making 4 birdies out there, right? Or at the very worst, push Maverick, right? Going out there and making 4 birdies, let alone the fact that he'd push for us over here in Underdog at 5 birdies, which isn't the worst outcome either. And I think with 5 birdies, he's probably kicking Maverick McNeely's ass. Like he's struggled ever since returning to the PGA Tour. He had a clavicle injury, seemingly hasn't gotten it together yet. So, if we're getting somebody like Sahith, who's just such a better player, I think we have to hammer that value. So that's what we're looking at. There's a lot of unknowns here, so don't go crazy unit-wise. This is a course we've never seen before. There's a lot of speculation involved here. But again, the idea is I think this is priced, especially an underdog. Like some of these guys at like 5 birdies, like 5.5 birdies for Rory, it's priced to like one of the easiest courses on tour. And while that could happen, right, that's an extreme outcome, right? For this course to play like 2.5 strokes under par would be an extreme outcome. And for me, I think it's not even me, it's just the numbers they're very obvious, right? That the plus numbers play the more likely outcome is that it plays slightly more difficult than that. So that's what we're looking at here. Hopefully you feel a little bit more prepared to go out there into your slips. Reminder, right, only 3 par 5s. It says 2 on here, right, but 18 will be a par 5. That's going to limit some of the scoring. And then holes 3 through 6, you're going to see a bunch of bogeys too. So just make sure you keep those in mind. You're going out there and entering those slips. Best of luck. Check out my Patreon if you want access to all of my slips, all of my analysis as it's coming out for rounds 2 through 4. That's where you'll be able to find that information. And also, if you've got any questions, that'll be for tomorrow. I'll be doing a live stream tonight at 7 p.m. But also for rounds 2 through 4, I do my showdown and prop streams. So feel free to stop on by for those and get all your questions in then. I'll catch you guys later. Best of luck with those slips, and let's bring home the bag.